friends, it's Teresa and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, that's been a long time coming because I meant to put this out in January and then I got lazy. I'll be discussing my 5-star predictions wrap up from 2023 and discussing my 5-star predictions for 2024. Now, last year I set out to do vlogs for all of them. Did not happen for all of them. In fact, I didn't get to some of the books, and some of them ended up getting pushed out to be a 2024 release instead of a 2023. And some of them I just kind of ran out of time for. So I will quickly go over my ratings for all the books that I did get a chance to read. I think I had 10 books overall in 2023. This year I'm sticking to a nice round 8 of 4 books that are backlisted and 4 books that are new releases. Seems a little bit easier and gives me a little bit of like freedom, considering there are 12 months in the year and I'm only reading 8 books. So I have at least like 4 months of like freedom and not have to worry about stressing about that stuff. But let's just kind of get into it. So like I said, I'm going to be wrapping up my 5-star predictions vlog or reads that I was able to get to during the 2023 year. I only got to 6 total books, which means I had 4 books that I didn't get a chance to read last year. I'm not going to talk about these books in depth. Most of these guys have either a vlog dedicated to them or a separate review for them, so you guys can go ahead and take a look at all of those. Not gonna lie, looking at these like ratings, 2023 was kind of a flop for predictions. I'm starting to really question my tastes in books at this point because this was a rough time, y'all, like a really rough time. Let me start off with the 2023 predictions that I was not able to get to and the reason for why I didn't get to them. First one is The Tempest of Tea by Hafsa Faizal. This actually get pushed back, I think, to a 2024 release. If it gets pushed back to a 2025 release, you will for sure see this book in my 2025 5-star predictions because I love Hafsa Faizal's writing. I've read We Hunt the Flame and We Freed the Stars and I loved it so much, so I will be for sure reading this book when it gets out because I need to. Then we have The Invocations by something Sutherland, Catherine Sutherland, I want to say. This also got pushed back to a 2024 release, but I'm a little confused by it because I'm like almost 100% sure I saw this on my shelves in Barnes & Noble. Like pretty sure I remember seeing the cover on the shelf, so I really don't know if it got pushed out and then removed. I don't know, but it became a 2024 release. Didn't get a chance to read to it. Then we got Air by P.K. Reeves, and this actually was one of the 2 books I did not have enough time for. The other one is Sweet Hand by N.G. Peltier. I do still plan on reading these 2 books. I will have them on my TBR in a wrap-up sometime. I don't know if I'll get to them this year, but I do have plans to read them because I was very excited for them in 2023. I just ran out of time. Like, I think I literally had plans to read these 2 books in December, and then I blinked and it was December 25th, and I was like, oh, definitely don't have time for this. Moving on to the actual wrap-up portion. First one is Chasing Pacquiao by Rod Pulido. I gave this a 2 out of 5 stars. I have a full-fledged review and a vlog dedicated to this book, so you guys can go ahead and read that or listen or watch it or listen to it, whatever you like to do. Then we have Ace of Spades by Farida Bike Iyemide. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. It's in the same vlog as Chasing Pacquiao, so I will leave that link down for you guys as well. You guys can go ahead and take a look at all my in-depth thoughts on why I gave it a 4. The next one is The Sun and the Void by Gabriela Romero La Cruz. This one got kind of a mixed bag. Again, I'll leave the vlog for that down below so you guys can see my thoughts. I did end up changing my mind on this rating. Right now it's currently sitting at a did not rate because there were some things that people had talked about in terms of the representation of indigenous people and the representation of having a heart implant that I feel like just negatively impacted my reading experience, and I don't feel comfortable giving it the rating that I initially had and endorsing it to the extent that I wanted to. So then we got Monday Is Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars because I loved it so much, which was not a surprise considering how much I loved Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson. And lastly, we have Freddy vs. the Family Curse by Tracy Baudois, which is a middle grade novel, and I also gave this one a 5 out of 5 stars. Again, they all have vlogs dedicated to them, so I will leave those linked down for you guys to go ahead and to go ahead and watch and understand why I gave them the ratings that I did and why I feel like this predictions for this year was kind of a flop. I didn't get to 4 books, and to boot, I only realistically had a solid 2 5-star ratings out of the 10 that I had initially had. So here's hoping 2024 will be better. Again, I'm not going to go in depth on why I gave these ratings the way that I did or gave the books the ratings the way that I did, simply because I have vlogs and videos that you guys can watch and give me more views on. Moving on to my 2024 predictions, like I said, I chose 4 2024 releases and 4 backlisted titles. I'll be starting off with the backlisted titles first because I am really excited for these specific backlisted titles. I've been sitting on these for a hot minute, so let me just pull up the first book because I saw this one on TikTok and I was like, this is right up my alley. This is right up my alley. The first book that I plan on reading that is a backlist is Vampires El Norte by Isabel Cañas. This is an adult, I guess, like, I don't want to say paranormal, historical fiction. Yeah, a paranormal historical fiction following 2 young friends. I'm reading from the thing because I don't have it committed to memory quite yet. But this is kind of on the basis of the Texas-Mexico border during the war, during the 1840s. This follows Nena, who knows a thing or two about monsters. Her home has been threatened by tensions of Anglo settlers from the north, but something more sinister lurks near the ranch at night, something that drains men of their blood and leaves them for dead. Something that once attacked Nena 9 years ago. Believing Nena dead, Nestor has been on the run from his grief ever since, moving from ranch to ranch, working as a vaquero. But no amount of drink can dispel the night terrors of sharp teeth. No woman can erase his childhood sweetheart from his mind. And when the United States attacks Mexico in 1846, the two are abruptly brought back together on the road to war. Nena as a curandera, a healer striving to prove her worth to her father so she does not get married off to a stranger, and Nestor, a member of the auxiliary cavalry of ranchers and vaqueros. But the shock of their reunion and Nena's rage at Nestor for seemingly abandoning her long ago is quickly overshadowed by the appearance of a nightmare made flesh. And unless Nena and Nestor work through their past and face their future together, neither will survive to see the dawn. This is like right up my alley. I love historical fantasies. I love historical, and I love that it's like vampires in historical settings that isn't just like in Europe in 1800s. We get to see like Mexico during like the colonial time, like not colonial, but like during those like border tensions that are occurring between the United States and Mexico. It sounds absolutely tragic and heartbreaking, and I'm very excited to see what Nena and Nestor put me through emotionally, because I'm not prepared in the slightest as to what is about to happen, like at all. The next one is another fantasy romance. It's queer, and that is Modern Divination by Isabel Agajanian. I'm so sorry if I butchered that name. I thought I said it. In my head it sounds right, but I tend to confuse my J's and my G's. But like this is an adult fantasy romance following young Aurelia, who has spent 23 years maintaining the equilibrium between her human life and her magical life. With a devoted best friend and top marks at a prestigious university, she has everything one could possibly want neatly within her grasp, except her gift of green magic has begun to fade. And if that wasn't enough to upset the balance of her life, a fateful run-in with another power-hungry witch with a penchant for stolen magic has threatened to bring it all to ruin. Cast into an unexpected alliance with her dreadfully arrogant classmate, Aurelia goes hiding among a peculiar family of witches, where she discovers that the secret to their safety requires breaking rules she has followed all her life. Make no promises, tell no one what you are, and never stay the night. I'm very interested in this book. I do love a good like academic rivals to lovers kind of scenario, and I'm very intrigued to see where this goes. It is giving me similar vibes to that one book that I cannot talk about due to a boycott, but I'm very intrigued by this book, and hopefully, and it looks like this will be right up my alley. I'm very interested to see what happens with this book. Very intrigued to see how this all comes together. So the next one is A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. I confused this initially with the historical figure that is the Duchess. I forgot her full like title, but she's like considered the female Dracula because she quite literally bled people out and like bathed in their blood. This was not it. This is actually following Dracula's first bride, Constanta, and it sounds really queer. It sounds like she's the first bride of Dracula. She is like in love with this man, and then she realizes that he is actually capable of doing really terrible things. And she turns to her other consorts, assuming like, you know, the other wives, and they start to fall in love. Sounds hecka hecka sapphic, and I'm all here for it, and I'm very excited to see, because I love Dracula's brides. I love reading about Dracula's brides. I love them in fiction. I love seeing how they like come together, so I'm very intrigued to see how this one's going to be characterized. I'm always down for a queer retelling of everything, so I've heard nothing but good things about this book, so fingers crossed. I love this, and it's part of a series, it looks like. So there's a novella out now, or what I like to call it, a literary DLC, and I think there'll be a second book coming up, but I'm very interested to see how Dowry of Blood is going to come, because again, love Dracula, I love queerness, I love queer Draculas. And the last backlisted work is actually a gothic novel that I have been meaning to read for a hot minute, and that is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. A lot of my friends have read this book. A lot of my friends have loved this book. I am on the train that I know I will love it because all of them have loved it. I just have not read it yet. But this is a gothic novel, like I said, following, I believe it's an unnamed bride, like an unnamed character, who is dealing with kind of like the ex-wife of this man's like spirit haunting the halls and making it very difficult for her to take her place as the proper like lady of the manor. So I'm very, very interested. Again, so many of my friends have loved Rebecca, have loved Daphne du Maurier's writing, so this will better be good. If not, I'll be very disappointed in my own tastes. But it's gothic novel, and I tend to like at least a good like 90% of gothic novels that I have read so far in my life. Moving on to my 2024 releases, this first one comes out, well, I didn't put them in chronological order. I should have put them in chronological order by when they got released, but I did not, so it's fine. But this first one comes out August 13, 2024, so it's a summer release, and that is Mistress of Lies by K.M. Enright. This is written by a trans-Filipino American author, so I was like, say no more. I'm going to read the synopsis out to you because I don't have these committed to memory. I wish I did, but I don't. But this is about the daughter of a disgraced blood worker, Sean LeClaire has spent her entire life perfecting her blood magic, building her network of spies, and gathering every scrap of power she could. Now, to protect her brother, she assassinates their father and takes her place as head of the family. And that is the only start of her revenge. Samuel Hutchinson is a bastard with a terrible gift. When he stumbles upon the first victim of a magical serial killer, he's drawn into the world of magic and intrigue as he's worked so hard. Drawn into the world of magic and intrigued he's worked so hard to avoid, and is pulled deeply into the ravenous and bloodthirsty court of a vampire king. As you guys can tell, theme for 2024 is vampires. I think there's another vampire book in here, actually. Yeah, there's another vampire book in here, I'm pretty sure. Tasked by the Eternal King to discover the identity of this killer by cutting... Tasked by the Eternal King to discover the identity of the killer, cutting a bloody swath through the city, Samuel Shan and the mysterious royal blood worker Isaac find themselves growing ever closer to each other. But Shan's plans are treacherous, and as she lures Samuel into her complicated web of desire, treason, and vengeance, he must decide if the good of their nation is worth the cost of his soul. That sounds amazing to me, and I'm never going to say no to a Filipino author. So I'll be adding that book to the collection of Filipino authors on this shelf here. We will need to expand this shelf here pretty soon, which sucks because I just bought these shelves and they're already too short. Like, I literally bought this shelf here and this shelf here to make up for losing that like tall guy that I had that was falling apart at the seams, and to lessen what was on these shelves, and here we are. So it's clearly time for probably another unhaul soon. But I'm very excited. I am a sucker for vampire novels. Like, middle school Therese took that in her personality and really just hammered it home for the rest of my phases in life. I will never say no to reading a vampire book. I will never not love a book with a vampire in it. So this sounds amazing. We already have some vampires here, some queer vampires there, and now we got some deadly fantastical vampires here. So I think there's another vampiric book in here, which will be great because that'll just wrap up my year of vampires. The next one is one that I mentioned in the books that I did not get to from last year, and that's because it's releasing February 20th. And that is in 15 days. This book is releasing in 15 days. But that is Tempest of Tea by Hafsa Faizal. This is another fantastical duology about an orphan girl and a crew who gets tangled in a heist with vampires. Oh my gosh, more vampires. I actually forgot there were vampires in this one, so. But on the streets of White Roaring, Arthi Casimir is a criminal mastermind and collector of secrets. Her prestigious tea room transforms into an illegal bloodhouse by dark, catering to the vampires feared by society. But when her establishment is threatened, Arthi is forced to strike an unlikely deal with an alluring adversary to save it. And she can't do the job alone. Calling upon a band of misfits, Arthi formulates a plan to infiltrate the dark and glittering vampire society. Known as the Arthurium, but not every member of her crew is on her side, and as truth behind the heist unfolds, Arthi finds herself in the midst of a conspiracy that will threaten the world as she knows it. Dark, action-packed, and swoon-worthy. I've heard such good things about it. I see some people have already read the book as an arc, and I've rated it pretty highly. I'm really excited. Again, it's vampires, and it sounds like it's giving a little bit of Six of Crows vibes, which I'm very excited for. Not only because I love Six of Crows, but I just think that to be able to write a book with that kind of cast of characters is a very, very daunting task, because it'll always get compared to Six of Crows, but it has vampires in it, and it's coming out in 15 days. So I need to rearrange my TBR like yesterday. It's fine. Good thing I'm going to be on a long drive, because maybe I'll just buy it for the drive. I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to buy it for the drive, and then I'll just read it the 10 hours that I'm going to a different location. And I'll write a review about it and gush about it, and it'll be such an amazing time. I think a lot of these have actually vampires. Is this one vampire too? It's vampires too. Oh, this one is already coming out tomorrow. So this is going to be out February 6th, 2024. It's now February 5th as I'm filming this book, and this is Bride by Ali Hazelwood. I read Love Hypothesis, and I really enjoyed that book more than I thought I was going to. I had heard mixed things about her following works, so I just never picked them up in a kind of a weird roundabout way of trying not to ruin an author for me. But this one has vampires and werewolves, and clearly the theme for 2024 is vampires, because I think all of my 2024 releases have vampires in them. But this is about an alpha werewolf. Oh, here we go. Misery Lark, the only daughter of a powerful vampire councilman of the Southwest, is an outcast again. Her days of living in anonymity among humans are over. She has been called upon to uphold a historic peacekeeping alliance between the vampires and their mortal enemies, the Wares. And she sees little choice but to surrender herself in exchange again. Wares are ruthless, unpredictable, and their alpha, Lo Moreland, is no exception. He rules his pack with absolute authority, but not without justice, and unlike the Vampire Council, not without feeling. It's clear from the way he tracks Misery's every movement that he does not trust her, if only he knew how right he was, because Misery has her own reasons to agree to this marriage of convenience, reasons that have nothing to do with politics or alliances, and everything to do with the only thing she's ever cared about, and she is willing to do whatever it takes to get back what's hers, even if it means a life alone in Were territory, alone with a wolf. I'm very interested in this. It's very much out of her usual zone of writing, because she tends to write contemporary novels. So I'm very intrigued to see what she does with this. And again, it's vampires. It's vampires. I can't not say no to vampires. It's just an unfortunate fact about my life. And finally, the last one is another book that I found on TikTok actually, and that is Immortal Dark by Tigges Girma. This comes out September 5th, 2024. I don't know. It's another vampire book. I'm really sorry. It's just, if you like vampires, I guess my channel will be that for you this year. But this follows, it's a dark fantasy following one girl. I'm trying to find her name. It says here, hidden in our world, society of vampires originating in Africa are bound to 12 human houses. Each house represents a bloodline more cutthroat than the next. To ensure peace and inherit their house legacy, human children of these elite families must study at an elite secret university. My bad. Lost heiress Kidin Adane grew up far from Yuxley Yuxley University. She is obsessively protective, mildly nihilistic, and willing to do anything to save her loved ones. When her sister June disappears, Kidon is convinced a vampire stole her own house vampire to be exact. The alluring yet dangerous Suseños Sagad. To find June, Kidon must study at Yuxley and live with Suseños. It doesn't matter that Suseños' violence speaks to her own and tempts Kidon to surrender to a life of darkness. She will find her sister and kill him at all costs. So, highly, highly excited for that one. Cannot wait until September rolls around and I can go ahead and read the book. So, yeah. But lots of vampires in this predictions list, and I'm not okay with that. Well, I am okay with that. I think this year I'm really leaning into going back to my roots as a reader, which is all vampires, all the time. No breaks, no stops. But that is it for my 5-star predictions and my wrap up from last year. If you guys like this video, let me know. I do plan on doing a dedicated video, like a review video for all of these books. Sometimes I might do a vlog for it if I'm feeling a little spicy. But if you guys have any ideas for what you guys want to see in these videos in my channel, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll talk to you guys in my next video. Until then, hit subscribe and like, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!